All right, good evening, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this online book study on the Sutra of Infinite Meaning. So before we begin, may I now offer three bows to the Triple Gem. First bow, second bow, third bow. All right, so this evening, Shara is going to be Sister Jane from Singapore. She's going to share on episode 8 on the adaptation of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. And obviously, as we have in the past, they were followed by a commentary by Brother Zhou Huang from Taiwan. So Sister Jane from Singapore, and I understand Sister Jane, you're from Tima, and she's going to
Yes.
share on the marrow donation. Now, this is on episode 8 on the Sutra adaptation. You notice that it was mentioned that the key message is that the Buddha used the most extreme physical sacrifice to cultivate compassion, and that is part on the chapter of virtues. And one of which is by talking about giving the eyes, the marrow, and plus the theme of today's sharing by Sister Jane. All right, Sister Jane, platform is all yours, and I believe that you'll be sharing your slides.
Yes. May I do it now?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you see my slide?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. First of all, thanks everyone for giving me such a valuable occasions to revise the episode 8 of the above sutra that is infinite meanings, and to share how Singapore Tzu Chi is putting the learnings into actions. So in this classical stories of the Buddha, as what Brother Chin has mentioned, uh, Buddha has employed the most extreme form of physical sacrifice to cultivate his compassion towards alleviating the suffering of others and to show the true essence of giving. In the chapters of virtues in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, the scriptures goes as such: to forego riches, wife and children, and one's own country and land, to forego one's mind, sight, and marrow. One renounces possessions external to the body, whereas the other renounces one's own skin and hair. So 30 years ago, bone marrow transplant was at its infancy. And for most people, it was something that they had never heard of. At the time, bone marrow transplant has no legal recognition and storage facilities simply didn't exist. So patients suffering from blood disease often pass on before they were found a suitable blood match. So at that time, Tzu Chi was courageously enough to promote bone marrow donation, even though it was unconventional and against the norm. So in 1992, a PhD student from Taiwan studying in the United States received a positive diagnosis for Hep B, but she was still healthy and fine. That was what she was told by the doctors at then, on the day of her 29th birthday. However, on the very next day, hospital contacted to inform her that her white blood cell count were irregularly high and diagnosed her with bone marrow cancer. So her diagnosis shocked many because to see someone so young and gifted left the overseas Chinese community in America deeply shaken. Her only chance to survive was a bone marrow transplant. But finding a matching donor was never a simple choice because of ethnicity matters. And as a Chinese living in a large Caucasian country, the search for a compatible match became an even greater challenge. Hence, she returned back to Taiwan, but still diligently observe the Dharma. At that time in Taiwan, bone marrow transplant was only legal between family members and all your partners. So among the four sisters, uh, she was luckily to found a match with her elder sis and thus received a donation from her. In 1993 January, Wenling went to see Master Chen Yan, hoping that the public's trust in Tzu could help the Taiwan take a further steps forward to set up the first bone marrow donation pool for the ethnic Chinese communities. She wasn't doing this just for herself. Her hope was to help some other blood disease patients battling the blood cancers to give them a real chance of life again. As the donors pool movement began, Master Chen Yan also faced her own struggles and difficult decisions. It is very costly to send each donor's data abroad to US. That was her that was the challenge at that time. But if the donors pool was not established, none of these cancer patients, blood cancer patients, could survive. And Taiwan's medical infrastructures and legislation would never improve. And people would not let go of their inner superstitions and
James
obsessions.
talking about bone marrow.
Wait,
Yeah.
James.
So despite all the challenge, on October 20th, 1993, Tzu Chi Foundation's Taiwan Bone Marrow Donations Information Center was established. Back then, many people still believed that bone marrow was something mysterious, even calling it dragon bone water. Of course, that was just a myth. So Master Chen Yan began using every opportunity to explain about the bone marrow donation. The bone marrow being donated could save lives without harming the donors. Tzu Chi volunteers also went into communities working tirelessly to spread the message. They believe that when people share affinity, there could also be bone marrow affinity too, which I truly believe as well. Within just 2 years, the donors pool grew to over 100,000 registrations. And only 6 months after the donor pool being set up, the donor database being set up, they celebrated the very first successful bone marrow donations between non-relative. At first, it seems that the recipients was gaining more. Having said that, in 2010, uh, Wei Chen was matched to donate one of the donors, but his lifestyle of smoking, drinking, and chewing bitter nuts raised the concerns. So Wei Chen's uncle reminded him, if you continue with these habits, the marrow that you donate could carry those toxins to the patients, the recipients. That simple truth struck Wei Chen deeply. So without hesitation, he quitted cigarettes, alcohol, and chewing bitter nuts. Therefore, before saving another's life, he has already saved his own health. So that was from the scripture, and how Singapore's Tzu Chi has bone marrow programs has take its baby steps. So it was initiated Singapore. There is a organization called Bone Marrow Donors Program, in short BMTP. It was initiated in 1993 by a couple with whom they lost their child due to no suitable bone marrow donors when the child was diagnosed with bone uh, bone cancer. Bone disease cancers. So this couple, who are very kind and with generous heart, they couldn't bear to see other leukemia patients and other families just like them suffer the same fate. So they channeled their grief into establishing a bone marrow database, hoping to help hopes to other leukemia patients. So at first, it seems the recipients was, I'm sorry. So this is the logo of the bone marrow donor program, BMDP, in Singapore. So this is a bit of a history. about Singapore division being registered in 1993. And in fact, we have a strong affinity with bone marrow donation program because during 1993, when we first founded, officially registered in Singapore, IPC, that means Charity Charter, we hold one charity fair talk, which we help to raise fund for bone marrow donation program. So since then, since 1994 until 2007, Tzu Chi Singapore has always joined force with BMTP via public talk and blood donation campaign. Together, we promote and woo more people to come forward to donate to register for bone marrow donations. So back in 2022, Tzu Chi and bone marrow donation uh, BMTP reinstate their collaborations. So leukemia, again, is a leading cause of death, especially among the children in Singapore. And the truth is, it actually can strike anyone. It really regards their age, gender, or health. So according to statistics, 6 people are diagnosed with blood disorders every day, and 50 patients await bone marrow transplant every month to prolong their life. So who we are about this program. So bone marrow donation program is the one and only. It was founded in 1993 by the couple. The name was Mr. Gerard Long and his wife. So, and this organization, BMTP, has received IPC, which is the Institute of Public Characters status. So it was actually regulated by MOH and also been certified by the World Marrow Donors Association. So what is our impact? In fact, so far, BMDP organization has facilitated transplant since 1993 due date 1,254 cases. And the donations that we have facilitated successfully was since 1993 till now was 577. But having said that, the donors dropout rate, that means people who have signed up for the registry with the database. However, when they've been so-called matched and when they are asked to come forward, 1 in 3 has dropped out. So this shows that there's still a lot of educations needed to promote these bone marrow donations. So this is a one real case where Singapore's former uh, Foreign Minister, Mr. George Yeo, he has visited Taiwan in September 2 years ago to attend a forum. He made a special trip to Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital to express his gratitude to Tzu Chi's help in arranging a bone marrow donations and transplant for his younger son, who was suffering from leukemia 19 years ago. So we can see from here, this young boy named at then was Yang Shi Hong. He was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 3, and he was very lucky, very fortunate to successfully match with a bone marrow donor through the Tzu Chi Bone Marrow Registry and given a new lease on life. So now I'm happy to share that he is now a medical school graduate, 2 years into his career as a doctor and an aspiring physician. So nowadays, how advanced it is to join the database in Singapore. Firstly, just sign up, complete a form, either a physical form or online. And next, unlike last time, we have to do a blood test. Now it's just need a cheek swab. It's very simple. And the donor's information will keep in the database until the age of 60. So the registration age is age 18 to 49 years old. I don't have such a good affinity. I sign up for this bone marrow donation program. The register myself in the database since I was 30 over years old, and now 20 over years has gone, and I'm almost reaching 60, but I still didn't have the good affinities to be matched with anybody. So actually, if we are being lucky enough to be able to match, that is a very good affinities for us to contribute to help those needy. So this is a bit of sharing. Having said that, despite the age of the donors first registered in the registry must be between age 18 to 49, but he also must be exempted from a list of diseases or even carrier like hepatitis B or C. And diseases like if you have diabetics or epilepsy, you are not able to donate as well. So it is not that easy to donate and register yourself unless you really have a very healthy health. So let me see. Just need to scan and let's say if you are too busy to, but you are keen to join the register on the database, you just need to scan and register online, and the BMDP will send you a cheek swab kit
When I leave it, Doris, I can do
to
it.
mail to you, and you just do a cheek swab and mail back your samples and back. And if we are we have good karma, we might be get called, and if we are being called upon with the match. So this is some simple diagram to show how to do a cheek swab. And since 2023, uh, these are some photos that we have been doing campaigning for bone marrow donation registry. So since 2023 is Chinese New Year charity
Oh,
fair.
and
Yeah, on the photo on the right, we can see this is the young, on the left side is the younger me, and on the right side is Ong Hui Yun doctors. She's a TCM doctor who is in charge of this program. So charity community blood donation event is at Tang back in 2023. We actually from experience we noticed that people who come forward for the blood donation, usually they are very kind and they don't mind to sign up for the bone marrow donation. High chance. So usually whenever there's community or any blood donation drive, we will try to set up a booth there. Yeah. So another three more community clubs having the blood donation campaign. We also tag along to set up the booth. So these are all our volunteers. And so as the bone marrow donation programs staff, because sometimes questions that we couldn't answer, and we would need the BMDP professional to help address some sophisticated questions. So last 2024 Chinese New Year Charity Fair at Khatib Open Ground. This is also some of the memorable photos. So in essence, since 2023, we have this series of campaign we have conducted. There are total 245 people registered for bone marrow donation, and on the rightmost is the volunteers who help out on the booth, and bottom is to 2024, and you can see the numbers of people who managed to convince them to sign up was 300. So there's a significant increment since 2023 to 2024, we have 300 sign up. So in 2024, bone marrow donations program management team visited Tzu Tang, Singapore, and gave us a letter of gratitude by their CEO Charles Low. It was received by our CEO 刘瑞士执行长. So we were very grateful, and they mentioned to us that they were very grateful for our every volunteers in the bone marrow donation team, because over the last 2 years in total we have jointly guided 545 kind-hearted individuals registered in the bone marrow registry. So just last year alone, we have this Chinese New Year charity fair. It's a big event, and of course, such a great opportunity. How can we not set up a booth there And these are our volunteers' memorable photos. And if you can see from the bottom right, in fact, you see all those in the white Tima shirts, in the white t-shirt, polo shirt. These are all our TCM physicians. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I was there also, not in the photo. So, blood donation campaign at 金石堂. Last year, we also have the staff, BMTP staff like this gentleman, join us to campaign for more registration. So HYC, Humanistic Youth Center, these are some photos. So all in all, in 2025, we managed to strike a new height of getting 308 sign up for the bone marrow donation program with the help of 89 kind-hearted volunteers. So last year, end of last year, I think it's, if I'm not wrong, August or October. So we were being invited to bone marrow donation appreciation event, 相见欢 in Chinese. So we were there to receive the recognition as a valuable partner with the BMTP on behalf of Tzu Chi Singapore. So nowadays, how easy is a bone marrow donation? So let's hear from the doctors.
那到底骨髓捐赠捐的是什么东西呢？
主要就是因为有些病人患上血病，我们需要拿他捐赠者的这个血干细胞来代替病人的骨髓。怎么拿这个健康的干细胞呢？有几个方式。现在呢来讲，我们差不多90%以上的骨髓捐赠方式呢，都是从这个所讲的周边血抽取干细胞。大部分的时候呢，就从手臂抽出的干细胞。什么方式呢？这一个针插在这只手。一个针插到这个手，就血呢就从这个一只手流出去到仪器里，那仪器呢就洗了那个血，抽出需要的干细胞，其他血的成分，其他就会从另外手臂另外一边流回身体里。短期有一点点小小的不舒服，大部分的捐髓者经常在2、3天之内就会恢复了。从你身体抽出的干细胞呢，其实我们只要拿了这么2、3%而已，一小部分就足够救人一命。长期我们也知道没有什么后遗症。
Yeah. Yeah. So it is as simple as if donating pellet. Pellet is they will have the device to withdraw the blood from one arm and go to the device. They will extract the pellet, but this case they are extracting the stem cell, and it only constitute the 2 to 3% of the stem cell of our healthy body, and the rest of the blood will go back to the body again. So it's very straightforward, but maybe it's just a little bit discomfort, and it will go away within 2 to 3 days.
那到底
So this was the 相见欢, the appreciation event that I was so happened to be there, and this during you see the photo on the left, the younger gentleman is Mr. She, and he is the donor, and the gentleman next to him, middle-aged man, he is Mr. Fu. Actually, I was there to happen to Mr. Sir. Mr. Sir was sitting next to me in the same table, and Mr. Fu, he shared with us the experience in the next table that he was all the while very healthy. He didn't have any discomfort, but there was one time during the normal regular health check, during the blood test, suddenly they discover he has very high count of white blood cell. So they do further checking, diagnosing, and then inform him the bad news of he was contracted with blood disease, leukemia, acute leukemia, and only left with 8 months of life. So his whole life, his whole career was like down to the drain. While waiting, he was very fortunate that Mr. Sir has actually was being matched with his blood for donation. So they were very lucky, and Mr. Fu was so happy that he actually used a big postcard and jot down the whole happenings. So if you can see from the photo, this was the recipient, Mr. Fu, he write down the appreciation information, and you see the in the middle there's a bag of blood, right? That was actually the cell donated by Mr. She. So this was one bag of like blood stem cell. It only took 1 hour that fully transfused to uh, the recipient's body. And thereafter, you can see from the happy family gathering photo, Mr. Fu was on the actual event itself. He said that his life couldn't be. He actually received a second chance of life, and his family has been made complete because of the Mr. Sir's generous donation of blood, bone marrow. So with that, uh, 感恩 everyone online for listening to my sharing on episode 8 of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings and how Singapore City has put the learnings into actions. Back to you, Brother Chin.
Sister Jane, so much. If you can get off from your slides.
Yeah.
So I learned something new because the bone marrow donation, I thought they actually extract your blood through your spinal cord. And so it's very much from one arm to the other arm. It's very similar to chelation, which I experienced before. All right, okay, Karan, so much. You know about chelation, right?
Not really. Chelation is a pellet.
Chelation is extracting the blood from one arm, and obviously there is a sort of cleanse it and add some solution, and in return the blood back to the other arm.
Oh, thanks for sharing.
So, all right, okay. So we have Brother Joe online, and so Brother Joe is going to give his commentary on this. And one of the things that when Master shared about giving of the marrow, I was trying to understand in practice how this can be done. And so, Sister Chen, you have so articulately explained how this works. So may I now invite Brother Joe to give his commentary on this, Brother Joe? All
Yes.
right, so,
Hello. Hi.
Yes, Brother Joe.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So
Hey,
thanks, Sister
it's
Jane,
all yours.
for your wonderful sharing and also taking us into the field. I think from your perspective is even more so in terms of medical perspective as well as the history of Singapore, right? How it actually got at the very early on, 1993. It's actually merged. At the very beginning, it was already like that. I think that's a very special time, but because I'm not medical professional, all these things sounds to me like it's very, very, very much expert and very something that as anyone would like to learn more about. Oh, so just like what Brother Ching was asking, so it actually go in, takes one out and goes in the other. And when the doctor said you might feel a little bit discomfort, why? Is it because you lost that 2 to 3%? Why is it that you will be discomfort? Is it because the blood comes back in that makes it a little bit uncomfortable? Or is it because the blood was out? Then why is it different from, giving blood? And why would you be that's the part I'm not quite understanding, because usually when we give blood, and I think there was some other way that we were giving blood before. I think that was giving the placenta, something. I think it was the platelets or something where
Yes.
you were able to give out, and then there's a second stage where it goes back in, but
Yeah.
you don't require two, you just require one. And so I know this because I do this, and if they were to give me 2 needles, I would object right away because I am so afraid of needles. And so that's the question. I don't understand. Number one, why does it actually need two? And number two, where is the discomfort that comes from?
Okay. I guess because I have never done the blood platelet also, but I have regularly donating blood. Sometimes the discomfort I'm just thinking it could be because of the loss of blood still the 2 to 3% of stem cell is still, it looks like it's still in the blood form. Yeah, but it's more concentrated. And actually, like platelet donation in Singapore, it actually go from one arm to another arm. You need to. I
Okay,
saw
okay,
it, yeah,
okay.
in the blood bank, yeah. And
Okay, okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Maybe it just takes I don't know, a longer time if you only have one. It
Oh,
takes, it comes back. And so I
true.
could feel that, there's two stages. And the first stage it goes out, and the second stage it comes in, and it's no longer, I think it was no longer red. It was being processed, and then it comes back in. But anyway, so that's not what I wanted to say. I just want to say that it's all very fascinating to somebody,
Yes.
like us. We were so interested in these type of knowledge that we weren't exposed to. So I would like to add to this in that I think bone marrow, for me, it represents something that is needed, but something that is extremely difficult. And what Master showed us was that even though you might not have all the expertise and all the money and resource in the world, and you know that doing this requires all the expertise and all the money in the world, you could still do it. And I think this even goes beyond hospital. Now, hospitals, people know that they need hospitals when you're trying to, you know, um, encourage or get the public opinion, and the way that you can get the, you know, the public energy to back you is so much easier than at the time bone marrow, because not only do you need the expertise to do all the work. I remember early on in the days when we would have to mail the sample to the US for the actual matching. Now that cost was completely covered by Tzu Chi Foundation. So all these things, not only do you need money, you need expertise, and then as Sister Jane shared, that you also need to, interact with the public opinion, because people think that it's not safe, and you're having to draw the blood out from the dragon bone or the main spinal cord. And back then, and this was something that was a big no-no, right? So I think this goes beyond just the hospital. The hospital, it's easy to share that, in Hualien, if you don't get a hospital here, it's impossible to save the people when you have to send them north or south, right? So I think back then, that's why it wasn't one of the top four that we did, right? Charity was simple and straightforward. Medicine, it was simple and straightforward. Education, it was simple and straightforward, right? It was until humanistic culture that it gets a little bit not as easy, but it was still okay. But as you move into bone marrow, it gets harder and harder, but it was still the right thing to do. And I think in this story, or in this historically, Master shown us that even though it was something that was needed, and even as Sister Jane mentioned, it was written in the Sutra, that it was still hard. You still have to convince people. And so I'm sure Master undertook a lot more effort just to show people that she's absolutely sure that it is safe to donate. And I think only when she is absolutely sure would she then promote it. And I think that even when she's absolutely sure, people still have doubts. People still are afraid. So I see this whole event, not just historically, a major breakthrough. I see this as Master's will to do and believe, to do what she believed was right, and then having to go against this tidal waves of people against it. And I think the bone marrow donation goes hand in hand with the silent mentor program, in that they're both having to go against public opinion. They have to go against traditional belief. They have to go against what the society usually holds, the value. This is basically your, drawn out from your, the dragon water that draws out of you, or if it's the silent mentor program, it's the remains. I think this really goes to show that when your direction is accurate, when your heart is in this direction and in its execution and in its path, there are going to be all these improbable and impossible affinities that will come and help you and complete this. And I think this is something that, to me, as a non-medical professional, I see this story and I see a person who did not know whether this was medically possible, knew and trusted and believed all these help that rises to help master carry out this task. And then I think that she also pushed through by trying to convince and convey its general safetiness to the public, at the same time raising the fund, at the same time encouraging the volunteers to go among the people to encourage more people, even when these volunteers are not medical professionals. So there are a lot of vows, a lot of will, and most importantly, a lot of trust. And I think that's what's essentially what I see in this particular one of the Dharma path that we have. One of the 8 Dharma footprints is that you have to have trust, you have to have faith, you have to have this selflessness in order to carry out something that was unbelievably difficult. And that's what Master did. And I think a lot of times when we read these stories, this is what encourages us, not just when they finally have the gathering, when they're able to meet after a law required amount of time, that they're able to, the donor and the recipient were able to meet. That was all very touching. But at the end of the day, we were really moved by someone who is so visionary and who is so adamant and who is so persistent to be able to carry this out at a time when money is an issue, expertise is an issue, public opinion is an issue. And I think this goes without saying, that's why Master is our master, that she saw far ahead and was able to withstand all of that. So I wanted to thank Sister Jane to bring us this and to give us the perspective from the medical side and to really get our interest into understanding this more. I think we all need to understand this a bit more so that we can share to more people. I'm sure there are other, I don't want to say skeptics, but I'm sure there are other, intellectuals who will, question you and challenge you on some of these, basic things. Are you sure? Are you saying that there's going to be some dizziness and uncomfort? Why? When I give blood, I don't feel that way. So why would I feel it this way? Obviously, there's something that's different than giving blood. Well, what is it? Tell me more. And then we get afraid that we don't know how to answer, and then we're sort of back into the corner. So it's good that Sister Jane is there as a medical professional, as TMA member, was able to bring some of these back, the background info for us, and then we're able to learn. But I'm sure there are a lot more online resources that we could look into, and it should be something that if we have questions, we should actually do a little bit of our homework. Ask our TMA members or go online. There's a lot of AI searches right now that's able to help you. You can confirm with each other different AI models and see if the answer they give is correct. And that should help us more in understanding this. Thank you, Sister Jane. That's my feedback. And I think thank you for a wonderfully done presentation to bring us closer to something that seems to be very professional. But at the end of the day, it's a show of compassion. It's a show of love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Brother Joe, for the perspective on what's relating to the practice. But before I pass on to the floor, can everybody on the video and we can take a photo? So can I invite everybody on your video, and Sister YY will take the photo.
Okay. 1, 2,
Okay.
3.
And the rest, yeah, if you're convenient, you can all.
Okay, one more time, yeah. One more time, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Not many.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah, thank you, Brother Chin, yeah.
Great, excellent. Now, I want, sorry, can I now call upon the Sister Vanna? Sister Vanna has been, you can see from, she has given her perspective of how this bone marrow donation works. Sister Vanna, would you like to share your insights on this?
Hi.
Sister Vanna Lee.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just okay. As far as I know, bone marrow donation means you have to like directly put a needle or it's a huge needle into the marrow. That is the conventional bone marrow donation or bone marrow aspiration that we know in the medical field. But then what Sister Jane just now explained, it's actually peripheral blood, the stem cell collection from our circulatory blood, the systemic blood. So it's not directly from the bone marrow. So it's two different way of collecting stem cell. Basically, bone marrow made stem cells. All cells, all the blood cells come from the marrow. So it's very important. If anything wrong, it starts from the marrow. So all the cancer cells, it's because something wrong with the marrow. So the stem cells itself, so like leukemia, lymphoma, all that come from the bone marrow. Yeah, bone marrow make white cells, red cells, platelet cells, all the important blood cells that we know of. Yeah, so if someone have got blood cancer, like leukemia, so you want to treat, of course, you want to get rid of the bad cells, the cancer cells, but you need to replace with good cells. So that's where you need stem cells. The stem cells will go to the recipient body so that it will make normal cells again or replace the cancer cells. So that's how it works. So that's why I want to just clarify so that people know there are two types of stem cells collection. One is directly from the marrow, the other one is from circulation. And there are, of course, different process to it. Yeah, different way of doing. I'm not a hematologist. I'm not a blood doctor. I'm just a family physician because part of my role also to explain all these procedures to my patients when I see them. When I say I need to refer you to the hospital because you need to see the blood doctor. So I need to tell them what's going to happen to you when you see the blood specialist, the hematologist. So yeah, so I need to know yeah, but I'm not able to do it. I'm not the doctor who take the marrow or prick you or yeah. Just
Thanks, Sister Vanna. Just to add on, yeah, as you mentioned exactly, there was two options. Up to now, the conventional way is extract the bone marrow stem cell from the backbone. Which the one is surgical, but you can discharge the same day lah. Then
Yeah.
another one, which is the modern one, that is like pellet donation. It's just from one hand to another hand. Yeah, so both are available. But if you want to do from the modern way, I mean the rather the looks easier way from like pellet collection, from the hand, one hand to another hand, blood transfusion, get 2 to 3% of your stem cell out. Actually, there are something even before that you have to do. You have to do chemo beforehand. So there's actually I have a few more steps before, but I mean to cut it short. The modern way seems easier and more acceptable. So the real case that I shared earlier, Mr. Sir, he opt for the stem cell extraction. Yeah.
Thanks so much for the clarification. And Sister Vanna, I was only exposed to the conventional method. So that's what I know. I mean, again, my first experience was when I encountered a patient, and that was back in the 1880s, and it was at St. Vincent Hospital in Sydney. And it was this young girl that I met and was donating for the sister. And that's how I know it was directly from the bone marrow, like you said, was the conventional method. So I thought it was a very frightening thought because you're setting a needle directly to your backbone, right? And then that's why our sister Jane showed, oh, that's a peripheral method. There's a lot more, should I say, not so invasive. And taking one from one hand to the other arm, and like I said, I've done chelation, I've done autohemotherapy through ozone and things like that. So, oh, okay, that's not so simple. But actually, the thought of the huge needle inserting into you, that's a very daunting thought, you know. But I think Sister Jane, well, one thing I guess this episode has shown to us is, what the first parameter or the first perfection that the walk the Bodhisattva path is generosity of giving, right? That's the virtue. And imagine you're giving your stem cell for treatment. It's something the money cannot buy, right? So it's not a question of how much money you have. So you can have a very poor donor, but you got a very rich recipient who wants it. And yet he has so much money, nothing he can buy. So this part, the virtue of the generosity on giving, it's beyond what wealth and fortune, whatever fame that one has, that it cannot have. And so I think that is certainly a virtue in one aspect of the parameter of giving. Members of the floor, are there any questions here? We've got two expertise, actually. I go to experts here on blood cord donation. All right.
Maybe I want to correct the conventional bone marrow. Actually, it's not to the back, yeah. So we don't want to scare people. It's not the spine. It's actually very safe. It's a very safe, it's a pelvic bone. It's your hip bone. It's your hip bone. Because the biggest bone in our bodies will have the biggest marrow. So which is the hip bone, the hip, the pelvic bone, we call it. So, but the approach from the back, so look like going to the backbone. It's not the spine. You will never touch the spine. So it's actually, it's very safe because it's very peripheral. It's the outermost bone. It's not the skeletal central bone. But the bone in the upper limb does not have much marrow. The most is at the pelvic. Yeah.
So you're talking about the needle actually inserted into
the bone marrow. Straight to the bone. It's very, very painful, but most of the time, patients are given general anesthesia.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I can imagine. Like I said, I met the young donor at that time in the 80s. I said, what happened? I was explaining it to me, and obviously she couldn't explain to me very clearly, and obviously she went to general anesthesia. And he says it's right into the back. Oh my goodness. He said that's quite a frightening thought.
So 40, 50 years later, now is no more. So it's a peripheral blood, just take from your arm. But before that, they need to make sure that you have enough stem cells. They give you some medicine to generate more stem cells.
Yes.
Yeah, and then only they take your stem cells. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you saying that the conventional method is no longer used anymore?
It is. It's very important. Yeah, for urgent case, emergency, they still use because it's quicker. It's like, just one day you can get the marrow, because the other one you need a week. You cultivate the cells and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just that the conventional way, if you do it the conventional way, is quicker, as what Verna say. It's just that the setback is maybe 2 months or so to 3 months, you are advised not to do vigorous exercises.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
interestingly, during the blood donor appreciation event, the blood doctor actually shared with us because she has accompanied many cases like of such, and she told us that one of the recipient who previously cannot take any chili, yeah, a recipient cannot take any chili, but after the bone marrow donation she received, she liked Tom Yam Goong, you know, the Taiwan, the Thailand spicy soup. She suddenly crazy about it. Then later she realized that the bone marrow was donated from by a Thai. So actually a lot of habit was changed because you really take over you really like you are actually you are your blood uh, marrow was gone and injected with a new one, then it grow by itself. So it's like you inherit somebody's DNA into your bodies. So very interestingly to share to hear from the blood doctor.
All right. Okay. Members here, would you like any questions? Would you like to ask Sister Jane and or Sister Verna? Okay. If not, this is obviously in this particular episode where Sister Jane, you started in your opening slide, you talk about during the time of the Buddha went to extreme sacrifice, physical sacrifice, even donating eyes, marrow, and so on. When I obviously Master has shared this previously, and I know I was just trying to imagine. Imagine during the time of the Buddha, and here you're also talking about his past life, right? What he did and what the sacrifice he made. I'm just thinking and I'm just imagining, wow, during that time, how does he give marrow? It was I don't know what the condition is at that ancient period of time. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's in that particular world and at that time, and maybe it was very advanced, maybe not. I have no idea. So I asked myself, what sort of condition it is at that time where the giving of the marrow can be done. But obviously, Sister Jane and not Sister Verna also are like that. Yeah, it can be done in this period of time. But my point is, what about that period of time? I don't know. And so that's a part, but I find it extremely fascinating, intriguing, and how that parameter of giving was being practiced at that time. Okay, but obviously, with the medical advancement, what's happening has happened, and that can be done quite easily. And Sister Bernard showed us conventional. Yes, that's the only thing that I know at that time. But you fast forward to now. Oh, I didn't know. It's as simple as that. Taking blood from one arm and harvesting your stem cells and go back to the arm, which uh, I mean, I've done it a few times for different reasons. Yeah, wasn't that bad, right? So anyway, that's the advancement of medical science that has happened now, and make it so much easier for people who are not so, should I say, afflicted, I guess, by the condition of giving, making a lot easier than before. Okay, if there's nothing else, if there's anything else you want to add, Sister Jane and Sister Vanna?
I was just about to type. The first successful bone marrow transplant was 1968.
Wow.
It's not a very, very ancient technology, so it's quite a new, yes. Yeah.
Wow. Where was this?
Where? Let me see. We're just checking it out. It doesn't say, probably in the Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
It's only 1968.
Yeah. The first successful transplant.
Wow. So imagine how to give marrow during
Yeah.
when the Buddha talked about it. I mean, it's just inconceivable. But the point is that this is the thing about the Buddha Dharma, right? And a lot of things being said. I mean, you look at it, wow, today, but you can imagine at that time how inconceivable it is. But yet, at the same time, and sometimes in the Sutra, the Buddha talked about the Dharma degenerating age. And then you look at it and the minds of people and things, and you look at the condition, which is what is happening today. It's totally so real. And right now, we're in the midst of turmoil in the world right now. And this is the Dharma degenerating age. And then you talk about the major calamities the master mentioned and the minor calamities that you what is that? There's war, but pestilence and famine. And wow, I mean, this is really happening right now before us. And we went through pestilence of the COVID. Now we're going through wars. And obviously the only third, I mean, and that's a calamity, and that's the changes of the cow pass, because the minor calamity and the major calamity is happening. So I'm trying to say is that to this episode, it gave me to understand the condition today. What would I explain in eras that I cannot conceive? And now, since the Wednesday only started in 1968, that's even more fascinating. Anyway, I learned so much, Sister Jane and Sister Verna, who come in to support and given a perspective about this bone marrow donation. And so allow me to now end this session. And as we do, we offer 3 bows to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Okay, let's rise. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. All right, thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for staying back and on this Friday night. And we'll see you again in next month when we share on another episode. So that's the end of this session, and good night.
Good night.
Cảm ơn brother.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Cảm
Cảm
ơn.
Chẳng ơn, good night.
Cảm ơn大家.感恩。